Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Ray Lindley from Ray Global Accreditation. It's really a joy to be with you again today. This is our regular monthly workshop, and we have a really great one for you today that we're very proud to be working with these people, which Dr. Jake will talk about in a little bit. As you can see, I'm not in a suit and tie today. I'm actually in Hawaii. If you can see the palm trees behind me, and if I would just adjust my screen a little bit, you could see the ocean. And from our condo here in Maui, Hawaii, we're really pleased to be with you. I was even willing. I told Dr. Jake, I said, well, hey, maybe they don't need to see me from Hawaii. Justin and Andy were talking just a little bit ago about turning the heat on. And I said, turning the heat on is not an issue for me here. It's balmy. It was like 80 degrees Fahrenheit most of the time. And we have a little rain once in a while, but it's okay. But it's really a joy to be with you, and this will be the first of our 2022 workshops, and we have more to share with you about the upcoming events and so forth, which we'll do later. But I'm going to turn this meeting over now to Dr. Jake Frankham, the Associate Executive Director, and he's going to introduce the people, he's going to introduce the people doing the workshop today. And it's a company we've just really enjoyed working with recently. And I think they're going to have a lot of good things to share with you. So Dr. Jake, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Ray. It's great to be with everyone. Dr. Ray's in nice, warm Hawaii in the state where I'm at, where I live. It's about 0 degrees Celsius. So it's a little bit more chilly. You might be able to see a little bit out my window. We have about 1 meter or more of snow that we've been enjoying. We actually had to cancel school for a day last week, which is pretty unheard of because we usually can deal with any kind of snow, but we've been getting a lot. So it's great to be with everyone from all areas of the world and all types of climates. So welcome everyone. We have a lot of different things going on this 2022. And right now we have some excellent academic competitions that are starting off. We have an art competition that's taking place. It's Capture Kindness. We want students to go out and take pictures of kindness that they see between individuals or something that represents kindness to them. And we want them to submit that. And like all of our other academic contests, there are cash prizes and recognitions, and we'll be having an awards assembly for that too. Well, also next month, we're really excited about our February workshop. We have an outstanding presenter, outstanding company that's going to be talking about reading, how to improve reading in your classes. And this can be from kindergarten all the way up to grade 12. It also helps students improve their English proficiency, which is what many of you are focusing on as an international school. Also, right now we have Me and My Community taking place. This is a service project program that if you have a student who gets 20 or more service hours over the course of the next few months, they will receive a certificate and recognition for that. Also, we'll be doing a recognition assembly for that also online. This is a great opportunity. I know many schools are involving their students over the time of the Ramadan. Their students are going to be doing a lot of service during that time, as we have a lot of students in schools from Muslim countries. So we're excited about that, to be able to focus on kindness, especially as many of us have struggled over these past 18 months, 2 years, as we're moving through COVID. So trying to get back into the community, giving back to the community, and recognizing all the support that they've done. Also at this time, we'd encourage any Array Global school to submit teachers that they would like to recognize as a Teacher of the Year, or an administrator. They can be recognized an Administrator of the Year. So if you're not an Array Global school, please join, and then you can submit those teachers, those administrators that need that extra recognition for all the great work that they've done. We also, every month, we recognize Students of the Month, and we also recognize Institutions of the Month. So please make sure you can submit that if you're an Array Global school or if you're not an Array Global school. And we'd love to recognize your institution, your students, your different students that are working so hard. Please visit our website, our Facebook page, to learn more about that. And also, we'd like to welcome members of our ministries of education and government officials and other heads that are visiting with us today. It's just great to have all of you with us. And we're especially grateful to have Dr. Justin Osborn and Dr. Andy Creamer with us today. Dr. Justin Osborn is the Director of University Programs for our partner company, and the partner company is a little long of a name, International Partnerships of Education, Research, and Communications. For short, it's Ipert. And this is in the state of Ohio, in the city Columbus. And Justin received his doctorate from Beijing Normal University. And Justin has worked in the field of international education for over 10 years. And he has worked as an education researcher for UNESCO, a lecturer in the education department at Beijing Normal University, and has supported dozens of US universities and high schools with international education program development. And we're excited to work with Justin. He's already been working with a number of our schools in setting up a sister school program. And we're excited to learn a little bit more about that and how we can globalize our education, our educational programs in our schools. And joining him is Andy. Andy's quite a bit further away than Justin. Andy is currently the deputy head teacher and head of curriculum at Grove Academy in Dundee, Scotland. He has previous experience of developing international links between the schools in Scotland and Southern Florida, and more recently with schools in China. Andy is the Scottish Qualification Authority's chief examiner for politics, and in a few weeks will take up the post as head of learning, teaching and assessment with Scotland's National Curriculum Agency, Education Scotland. So we're really, really excited to have both of these outstanding educators and people present to us on how we can best globalize our schools, our educational program in the countries that we're in and the schools that we work in. So with that, we will turn the time over to Dr. Justin and Dr. Andy.
Hey, great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Jacob. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I'm very happy to be here. I know Ray is such a great organization. We've been working with them now for a few months, and I've really enjoyed our conversation. They definitely know their stuff about education, international education, and I'm really happy that we decided to work together. So today, let me see if I can go ahead and share my screen for you. All right, can everybody see that? Let me put that on full screen. Okay, so we're going to be talking about providing a globalized education for all students. This is something that we have a lot of experience with in our organization. I know Ray has a lot of experience in this as well. This is something that I've researched for quite a while. Globalization is a major issue in education. It's something that we all have to face. It's not just education, of course, it's in every aspect of our society, but education also plays a vital role in preparing students and our nations for the globalized world that is changing so fast. So I'm definitely happy to talk about this topic with you all. So let me tell you about our organization. Jacob told you a little bit about it. Our name, it's International Partnerships of Education, Research, and Communication. We just go by Ipert. So everything you see there in the title are things that we do. We're very much involved in looking at the research on specific education topics and then creating programs in our partner schools to match that research, to ensure that all the policies that our schools are implementing are effective. We're very much a research organization, and then we're a partnership building organization. We've built partnerships with over 400 high schools around the world and about 30 universities totally that we've worked with. So we work with many schools in the US, the UK, Canada, Scotland, and also we work in many schools in China, India, Vietnam, Thailand, Taiwan, Korea, and now we're working with some schools in the Middle East, thanks to Array. So we have a lot of experience in building these programs. We are a nonprofit education organization based in Columbus, Ohio, been around for about 10 years. And our goal is to really create global citizens through education and teach students about intercultural awareness and intercultural communication. So all of the programs that we do for our partner schools are designed to ensure that the students are becoming international citizens with cultural awareness. So yeah, that's our organization, Ipert. You can learn more about us if you want to check out our website. It's ipert.org. So talk about globalization. What is globalization? I'm sure we all already know the term globalization and what it means, but it's essentially the interconnectedness of peoples and nations around the world. It's economics, that's political, that's cultural, and that's education. So this is something that's been happening for quite a long time. As you'll see in the trends here, globalization has been increasing essentially every decade. It gets greater and greater. There are a few setbacks you'll see there with social globalization, so some political resistance, but for the most part, it is continuing to grow, and globalization will continue to grow into the future. And the main reason for that is going to be technology. Technology is really the main force pushing this. Politics is important as well, but because of technology and technology will continue to advance, globalization will also continue to advance. So there are many benefits with globalization that we can see, and this is why nations around the world have promoted it. It does give us access to new cultures. We're able to learn more about people around the world, which is just a great thing personally. It also allows us to spread technology. So when something is built in one country, obviously it doesn't just stay in that country anymore. It's a global thing. Whatever technology is made, it belongs to the world now. Products can be cheaper, of course, because of maybe cheaper labor wherever the product is being made. It has created higher standards of living for people around the world. We say in the U.S. it's a tide that has lifted all boats. Now it hasn't lifted everybody equally, of course, and it has left some people behind. But for the most part, globalization has created higher standards of living around the world. It's given businesses access to new markets, for both buying and selling products, and new talent as well. We at Ipert, we recognize talent around the world. We have people that work for us in India, in the Middle East, China, Vietnam, all the countries I mentioned, we have people there. So it gives access to new talent and new markets. So it's not just a good though, right? There are also some problems related to globalization. Obviously, it has helped increase technology. It has helped increase economic development for countries around the world, but it hasn't done so equally. Of course, there's a great technological divide between advanced and less advanced nations, which can be a problem. It prevents, especially students in the country, from having the same educational opportunities. Some have said that because of globalization and the connectedness of people, it's kind of like a new form of colonization where the more developed countries are able to exploit the markets of the less developed. So that can be an issue as well. And then inequalities around the world, economic, have increased both in terms of national revenue, national economic output, and also internally. There's been a lot of people within countries, when a job gets outsourced to another country, there are people within that country that also lose their jobs as well. So though the overall trend is to increase the economic situation for people around the world, there are also many people that do get left behind by globalization. And it may also promote a single dominant culture, right? I mean, I lived in multiple different countries. I didn't feel that different really from, obviously there's great differences in all countries, but you still see your McDonald's, you still hear English. It is also, there's some sense a domination of certain cultures. So these are all problems related to globalization. So why is education important in terms of globalization? So education can be the #1 source of mitigating those problems created by globalization, the economic problems, the cultural problems, technological divide. Education can be a major way to maximize the benefits that we talked about before, and also to minimize those problems. So this should be a major issue that all global education leaders and administrators in schools should think about. So globalization is important because in education, because it allows for the global sharing of knowledge and skills and the intellectual access that some people may have, right? So because we're so connected, we're able to transfer knowledge to people that need it, people who may need those new skills because they were left behind by globalization or by technology. We're able to share ways, we're able to share the knowledge and the skills, and also ways of teaching, ways of promoting that knowledge and those skills. We're able to support other people. We're able to work together and produce a synergy. So communication is going to be very important. We've seen in this pandemic, we've all had to learn to work and communicate like this on Zoom or on Teams or some way. So communication, and especially communication from a far distance, is going to be something that's very important in the future for education, for the workforce. So globalization in education, it can be a way of promoting those skills as well, and teamwork. We can also learn more about each other, right? As especially in the US and in Europe and in many countries, we're becoming more culturally diverse. And it is important just to understand each other, just to know other people's cultures so that we can continue to live in a harmonious society and a harmonious world. We still have wars, of course, but we definitely have less wars now. And I think that part of that is globalization. We're able to communicate more freely. We're able to learn more about each other, so we have more respect for each other. I think that's a major issue for globalization. And the communications and the interactions that we'll have are completely invaluable. I've been able to meet people that I would never have met before, including everybody on this call. So, you know, these are all things that education can do. These are all values that we can promote through education. So the major issue in terms of globalization is going to be technology. We are using technology right now. I already mentioned that globalization has advanced because of technology. And to the extent that we're able to use education for globalization, it will be through technology. So technology will allow schools to be able to provide high quality, world-class education at a cheaper cost without having to invest all that money for infrastructure. So this is something that we're now really experiencing. We're really experiencing people taking education online in a way that before it was just talked about as a possible theory or something that could happen. But if you really think about it, I mean, you have to spend so much money to attend a university like Harvard or like Oxford, right? Actually, I'm not sure if you have to spend a lot for Oxford, but in Harvard or some US university, you have to spend a lot. And you may be in a room of 100 people or something, and you're listening to a lecture. You're not really having communication, but you're at Harvard and you're learning from possibly the best teacher. There's absolutely, really, I don't see a major difference between that and taking a course from that same professor online through Zoom. Now we know that smaller groups can allow for communication, but we can also do that on Zoom. So I do see the future of education as being, online distance learning. Now, a lot of people did not like that over this past few years. A lot of people said, we need to get back into schools. We cannot continue to do this kind of online education. But I think that just like I talked about with globalization, there are generally it rises all people, but there are also a few that are left behind. I think it's the same way with online and distance learning. There are a few maybe who have special needs, attention issues that will have problems learning in an online distance type of environment. But for the most part, students can learn in that way, and it is good for students. So that's going to be the future of education, at least some part of it. I still think that we're going to have in-person people teaching, because there is, of course, value to communicating with somebody face-to-face. So that will continue, but we will also supplement that with technology that is online and coming from other countries, or different parts of their own country. I definitely believe that. Okay. So essentially, how do we provide a globalized education for all students? We've already talked about why it's important to do that. Globalization is happening. What can we do specifically? What are some of the ways that educators can promote globalization to their students? Now at Ipert, as I mentioned, this is our mission. This is what we want to do. We want to promote globalization education, global citizenship, and intercultural understanding. So we have developed many programs that we think schools can possibly implement that might help them to do this. It really just depends on your specific school, your students, and the situation there. But these are all possible things you might be able to do. So the research has shown that simply having contact with people from another country or another culture does a lot for promoting intercultural awareness. Just having one connection with somebody from Saudi Arabia would actually go a long way for an American student to learn about, to have awareness and to really appreciate other cultures. One friend, one person that has taught you in the past, just having simple contact really makes a big difference in promoting understanding. So how do we have this? One of the things that we've done in the past is sister school programs. And Jacob mentioned this, we've already started to work on this with a couple of schools in the Middle East. We do this already for hundreds of schools in the United States and China, in Scotland and China, in Vietnam and Canada, that kind of thing. Mostly in the US, also in the UK, and also Asian countries. So we've connected these schools and they've developed a relationship with each other. Now, this is the same principle as, you know, governments have sister cities. They build sister cities, right? And every now and then they send an emissary of people to visit the sister city. Now, it's really the same principle. It's about creating contact and therefore understanding and mutual respect. So the type of relationship that students or schools can have through our sister school programs, it really just varies depending on the school. You can have just a very simple relationship where the students might just communicate with each other, and that helps. Or students have really gotten into it and actually done major projects together. And we find that those type of interactions have the greatest effect. And we'll talk about some of the benefits in a moment. But we can establish this for young students, or you can establish this for high school students. We find that if you establish with younger students, it's obviously better because it's more new to them. Maybe when they get older, they may develop, they may come in contact with other cultures through other ways. But for younger students, it is really a great and enlightening thing. It's also good for teachers. They can learn new ways of teaching, new ways of administrating. So here's some of the things that students have done in the past. Developed just a Penpal program where they've written letters to each other. They'll maybe send holiday wishes, send letters about their culture, tell stories about their family or whatever they're comfortable writing about. But it's a really great thing to get a letter from another student in another country. And the students so far have really enjoyed it. And they've learned a tremendous amount about other cultures in this way. So they'll start by maybe doing that, just writing letters to each other, then possibly sending videos, maybe do an introduction of the entire class, pan the video. And Andy's going to talk more about what he's done with his sister school. But yeah, there's really all kinds of ways to communicate and create that contact. And then, you know, if you have a good relationship, we've seen students actually work on major projects. This is one of the things I talked about in the beginning is collaboration is going to be important, and collaborating in a distance environment like we're doing right now. That's going to be important. So now we're going to be like, I'm in Columbus, Ohio. I'll be working with people in Riyadh and people in London. So students will need that experience of communicating and working together in an online distance learning environment and an intercultural environment. So it's the type of experience that this can provide when they work together on this type of distance learning project. It's really great. So they'll connect via video link. They'll decide on a project to do. They'll talk about ways that
Well, it looks like we might have had a little connection issue. I think we'll wait for Justin to get back on. But I think what I'm really interested in learning more about is the sister school program. I know in my schools, we have a sister school that we work with in Saudi Arabia. And my students, regardless of their age level, they love getting on. They love being part of it. And sending those letters back and forth. There was a question I think Farouz asked, what usually happens? How do you communicate back and forth? And it's usually a kind of a digital pen pal, but I bet you Justin would be able to talk a little bit more about that. It looks like Justin is back now.
Yeah, Justin's
Yeah,
back.
sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I got kicked off the internet somehow. I apologize.
No, I'm glad you're back. We were just talking, I just was talking briefly about how to do the pen pal. Farouz, one of our members, has a question about how do they do the pen pal? Is it usually digitally through email, or do you scan the letters and send them back and forth so there's no lagging time between, waiting for those letters or anything like that?
Yeah, so there's different ways that we can do this. So they can actually send a letter through the mail. That's kind of a cool thing. I know that's old, we're talking about technology and things, but getting a letter in the mail kind of is valuable, isn't it? Some way you really like, well, I got a letter in the mail. So, and it's actually a handwritten letter sometimes can mean a lot more too. So handwritten letters are something that they do send through the mail. They also make like greeting cards. Maybe they show different things about their culture. Like in China, they'll write some Chinese characters and do that. And they'll make like a greeting card and send that through the mail. But you said it as well. We can also just scan a written letter and send it. They may just send emails to each other. They may send videos to each other. So there's really all kinds of ways that they do that. But, really the students prefer, I'll tell you, is to get things through the mail, a handwritten letter or a card that they made, something cultural. That's what the students really like the best. So yeah, thank you for that question. You're going to get all the information about this. I know Jacob's going to send you our brochure and everything, so you can see some of the other ways. But they also communicate online, like this. That's another really big part of this is the communication. So they've done things in the past like science fairs, develop science fair projects. I know you guys do a lot of these types of competitions, but they've done science fairs, book clubs. They'll talk about books. It's a great way for students to learn about languages. A lot of our students in our international schools, they're really involved in this because they want to improve their language skills. And this really gives students a chance to improve all those things I mentioned about intercultural communication, intercultural awareness, teamwork. Also, language is a major issue as well. And talking about their culture. They create reports and give presentations about their culture. So it allows those students to learn about the other culture and also maybe learn more about their own culture, which is another benefit of these programs. So approach 2 is experience. So experience is also contact through digital ways is a major way, but also having the experience of being in an international education environment is a major way to promote deeper understanding. And we've all seen in the research, it's pretty clear on this, that students who have international experience, they end up doing very well and having better achievements. So there are, obviously not everybody can pay all the money to spend 4 years studying abroad or even 1 year studying abroad. So there are short-term opportunities to go abroad and experience everything, experience the cultural sites, the history, see the major things in the country, and also get that education aspect as well. So, so when we connect the schools, some of them, they develop a very, very deep relationship where they not only write letters to each other, they not only communicate online and through video and do education projects, they will visit each other. And sometimes they visit as much as every year. This is before the pandemic, of course. But so when we do these short-term educational trips, they're usually a week or two, about 10 days or so. Students can come over and not only see all the major tourist things, but they also visit their sister school. They actually shadow with a US or possibly UK student, and they spend the day with them. They go to all their classes. They get to learn for what it's like in an American school. And they also visit universities. So some of those major universities that they might maybe want to go to someday. They get to do that, and they get to actually live with an American family. So experience, or UK family, or even Canada. So they get to actually go into a family's home, have dinner with them, and spend an evening. They don't spend the night with them, but they just stay there for a day in hours. So it's a really great experience for these students. It's probably the best deal. We are, as I mentioned, a nonprofit organization. All of the schools that we work with are nonprofit. The host families are volunteers. So we're able to do this at probably the lowest price possible, but obviously the price depends on each school. But it's really just going to see the major attractions and experience the education. That's the type of learning that is really, you can't get it any other way than experience. So here's something that they might do on a trip. So go to like Los Angeles, visit University of UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles, visit their sister school. They do a major welcome ceremony to visit them. They'll shadow the students and take classes. They might do that for a couple of days in their sister school, and then also spend time with the American family. Maybe have dinner, go out and do some type of thing. Then see some of the tourist sites. So go to the Science Center, the Santa Monica Beach, Walk of Fame, Universal Studios, those kind of major things. Visit some other cities like San Francisco, see the Golden Gate Bridge, that type of all that amazing stuff there in San Francisco, Silicon Valley, Stanford University, and then come home. So you can see it's a very educational focused type of thing that we do. But globalization, it's going to be communication, but students really also do need to experience another country someday in their life, at least. Summer camps are another kind of thing, kind of similar thing, but they just go for maybe a couple weeks in the summer. This is also something that people might want to consider their students to do, go to summer camps. They can attend very short camps. Usually the ones that we do are designed around specific topics like STEM education, and as I mentioned, underwater robotics, or specifically learning English. So they go to these camps. They'll also see the sites, major sites in the US, and visit sister schools, but they'll be really focused on a specific topic and learning, like robotics or STEM education. Now, another thing our sister school do, and Andy participated in this as well. I remember his trip a couple years ago, but is our global leadership program. So whenever we have sister school relationships, the students have good connections, and maybe if we want to plan a trip, we also have what's called a global leadership program. This one is for teachers, administrators, or principals. So we take these teachers, administrators, or principals to another country. We've taken American, UK teachers, administrators, or principals to China to visit. We've taken Chinese teachers, principals, Vietnamese teachers, principals to the US to visit. So they will come, they'll visit their sister schools, they'll exchange educational ideas. We have speakers for them. We have the seminars, we have professional development opportunities for the teachers or principals or administrators, and they really get to experience the education culture in the new country. So we not only take students to experience this, but we also take administrators, principals, or teachers as well. Now, there are a lot of benefits for doing this for the sister school program, just having that communication and also experiencing that new culture. So it's, intercultural understanding. I've already mentioned a lot of these, global awareness, the deeper understanding of their own culture. Students develop leadership because it's an amazing, it's a difficult thing at first, when you go to a new country. And it really helps you to grow up and kind of mature in even a very short time. They become also more independent and flexible, able to adapt to new situations. So there are a ton of benefits for connecting with the school internationally that your students can take part in. So what I want to do now is I want to bring on Andy. He works for our schools in Dundee, Scotland. He's done everything that I've just talked about, from the initial sister school to the working on the projects to actually visiting his sister school in China. So he's done it all. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and I'm going to bring in Andy Creamer to talk about his experience. All righty.
Okay, I'll just share my screen. And is that appearing okay for everyone? Yep. Okay.
Yeah, looks great, Andy.
Okay. Hello, everyone. As Justin said, my name is Andy Creamer, and I'm really glad, really nice to be joining you today. I'm currently the Deputy Head Teacher and Head of Curriculum at Grove Academy, which is in Dundee in Scotland. I'd like to give you a brief overview of our work with Ipert and some of the things Justin's just been mentioning, and the partnerships that we have with schools in China and the impact that these have had on our students. Grove Academy is a state school and has nearly 1,400 pupils aged 11 to 18. We had no previous history or contact with China until our involvement with Ipert in 2019. We developed our curriculum significantly over the past 4 years, and our links with Ipert have been a key part of this. And it fits in with our aims to develop global competency and the skills required for our students in moving on to the modern labour market. In October 2019, Ipert organised and facilitated my visit to China as part of their Global Leadership Programme. And from that, our partnership with 2 schools there. We now have sister school links with Nanhui High School in Shanghai on the left there, and number 2 high school in Tangshan. And we also had the opportunity as part of my visit to meet teachers from across China when we paid a visit to one of the universities in Shanghai. The foundation of our links with our partner schools were not initially languages, but are as a result of our shared involvement in an innovative STEM learning programme, which culminates in participation in the Marine Advanced Technological Education competition. As part of this programme, senior pupils at Grove Academy can participate in a course where they have to design, manufacture and operate an ROV submersible. And this is an option for students that is built into our curriculum, and then they are entered into the UK heats for this competition. And over the last 3 or 4 years, we've been successful in each of those years. Ipert organised the heats for this competition in China, and this was the basis of our initial relationship with them back in 2019. We'd hoped to establish opportunities for students in both countries to physically collaborate once we'd agreed our partnerships with the 2 schools. And this was it was planned to focus on our marine robotics programme. And our aim was to try and develop key skills and confidence through, for example, exchanges, joint participation in summer schools, as well as making further use of the links with our partner schools to widen our curriculum and try to have our staff engaging in professional learning between the 2 systems. However, restrictions on international travel post-COVID have limited our scope for this, but despite this, we have built on our links in a variety of different ways. We've made use of ICT and the internet to create opportunities for collaboration and engagement. This initially involved teams from the different schools exchanging videos. You can see some scenes there where they introduced themselves, outlined engineering concepts and their approaches taken and how much progress they were making on their ROV submersibles. Then, during the lockdown, as staff became more familiar with online communication tools and platforms, we've engaged now in live calls between students in both countries. And this has provided greater opportunities to communicate and collaborate, to share ideas, to build links and understanding across the 2 different systems. We've also been able to, during the last year, build on these links to develop our curriculum. We have introduced Mandarin as part of an additional language option for our pupils. Initially, we didn't have a specialist Mandarin teacher, but were able to access online delivery for a Mandarin qualification and have now employed a Mandarin teacher in our school. We've also introduced a number of interdisciplinary programs built around our links. For example, we created a program for senior pupils, and this involved introductions to Mandarin and Chinese culture, delivered remotely via a virtual exchange teacher based in China. The pupils involved in this also had to produce a video in Mandarin about our school, and this was sent to our 2 Chinese sister schools. As well as learning Mandarin, they developed digital media and production skills And in other interdisciplinary programs, we have junior pupils working on a project involving business and Mandarin. Our partnership with Ipert and the sister school relationships have had an impact in a number of different ways. It has enabled our school to develop our curriculum and provide a wider range of opportunities for our pupils. It's increased cultural awareness, understanding, and has facilitated a number of developments in our wider curriculum. It has created the momentum for the addition of Mandarin into our curriculum, and in particular, the links with our partner schools have provided realistic and relevant contexts for this learning, and this has had a significant impact on pupil engagement and motivation. We also see the benefits of greater awareness of the opportunities from trade and other links with China, and the impact these have had on the choices our pupils have made when choosing subjects in the school and longer-term career aspirations. Our links and programs have also enhanced the ability of our pupils to secure places in some top-ranked universities in the UK. We also see significant benefits for our pupils in developing key 21st century skills, such as communication, problem solving, collaboration. And it has also enhanced our ability to develop interdisciplinary programs. Finally, we are looking forward to a point, hopefully, in the not too distant future, where we can put in place exchange programs that would enable pupils and staff from both our schools and our Chinese partners to spend time studying in each other's institutions. And at that point, I'll pass back to you, Justin.
Thanks, Sandy. That was great. Yes, you know, Grove has been really one of our best partners. I mean, we've worked with them for quite a while now, a couple of years, and we've just loved it. And I know the partner schools in China, everything Andy said about all his students, everything that they've learned, everything that they've gained from that experience goes, you know, equal for the students in China at the partner schools. I've heard from their teachers, principals as well, and those students really appreciated that partnership. So yeah, thanks again, Andy. Let me see if I can get it. I'm sharing my screen now, right? Okay, there we go. All right, so we've talked about you know, just connecting. We've talked about experiencing by actually going. I want to talk about a specific curriculum thing now. Many of our international school partners that we work with, they really want a kind of US or Western or UK style of education, right? They think that's important to offer that to their students as one possible option. So another thing that we do is we help these partner schools to blend their curriculum with a US based curriculum, a US high school curriculum, and a US college curriculum. So we work with schools to allow them to offer these courses. And one of the ways that we do that is through our high school. We are an accredited online high school called Reedy Global Academy. And we have many great teachers. All of our teachers have master's degrees, like 90% of them have master's degrees. And we are accredited by the major accrediting online accrediting organization in the US, Cognio. So our goal for this program is allow students from all over the world to get a US style high school education. So we have students, basically all of our students are international students. They're in multiple countries. And the students in this program, there are two ways that we actually offer this program. So one is we work with a partner school, an international school. So maybe we work with a school in like China, for example, and we work with their teachers. They go through a professional development, and we certify them to teach this US courses. And then the curriculum will just need to, the major parts of the curriculum will need to match with the US curriculum. And then they can teach the courses, and the students can end up getting US high school credit and possibly a US high school diploma. The other way is that they can take it online, so that the high school can take it online through Reedy Global Academy. We offer that. So the online school, Reedy Global Academy, our courses are taught real time and online. I know one of the major trends is the the not face-to-face type of online course where students just do their work at their own pace. They have deadlines and they have to meet the deadlines. We want to keep the communicative aspect of education, where we have groups of students together with a teacher that actually teaches a course to them. We really try to promote communication. We keep the classes small, usually 6 or so students in a class. Sometimes there can be more, but that's usually about it. And the students, they can earn the U.S. high school transcript and the U.S. high school diploma, which is very valuable for a lot of students around the world. As I mentioned, our educators are great. Almost all of them have master's degrees, a lot of experience in teaching. You can do this if you do the online aspect. Many students, if they want to stay in their actual school and just continue to do their own normal high school work, they may be able to want to take a few U.S. classes online. They can do that. They can take a semester in the summer if they want and earn U.S. high school credit. It's a valuable way to learn about American education, and it also is very valuable for college applications if any student wanted to study abroad. And in terms of letting the particular school teach the U.S. curriculum, in that case, the teachers will be given the major U.S. high school learning goals, and then their class will just meet those goals. And they'll be given, as I mentioned, professional development opportunities. They'll learn how to teach a U.S. curriculum in the way that they would in the U.S. school. There are 50 options for courses, so really any course that a school might want to offer, from math to physical education, there are those options. Already we have students from 6 different countries who take courses like this. Either they take them online or their teachers are teaching the U.S. curriculum. And they all go to college. All of the students so far end up going to college at a good university. So the curriculum immersion, offering U.S. high school credit in your school, either online or actually just offering the curriculum, is obviously a way to promote globalization in education. Now, early higher education is another thing that we also promote, right? Higher education in universities, it's one of the most globalized institutions in the world. In the U.S., virtually all our universities are extremely diverse and extremely international. Why? Because they feel like that actually gives the students major benefits. And so students taking higher education earlier can be a very effective tool for students. So we offer high schools, international high schools and international high school students the opportunity to take U.S. college courses in their own country. Essentially, that's how it works. We call this international dual enrollment. So students who are in high school, they can take a course, and that course can count as high school credit and college credit. So that's the relationship that we have with U.S. universities. They let us, and only us, offer and provide their courses, their transcripts abroad. So ideally, a student that goes to one of our partner schools in, let's say, Vietnam, they will take their they can take their high school course and get U.S. college credit for doing so. Now, all that takes is we work with a school, we become a partnership with a school, and the teachers have to meet the college standards. They have to have a master's degree or higher, and they have to create the syllabus that matches the U.S. university syllabus. Now, this maybe, you don't have to completely change your curriculum. It's just that the major educational goals of the syllabus have to be met, right? So the teacher gets approved, they do professional development, they create a syllabus that matches the U.S. university, and then they just teach their course like they normally would. And the student on the other end ended up getting university credit. So that's a great thing for students. It's very helpful whenever they want to apply to a university around the world. And this is a very unique opportunity. Now, we all know AP is a big thing out there. IB or A levels are all around the world. They're all very important and prestigious. International dual enrollment is a newer thing, so it really stands out. If you have US college credit from a major US university, it's very helpful for students, not only in their learning, but also whenever they do want to apply to college eventually. Last program I want to tell you is the ISTAR program. So a major thing in the world today is going to be research. So students very rarely have the opportunity to do research, right? How many high school students have ever done research? It's not a major thing, but it is an important thing, and it is something that they'll have to do whenever they want to go to college, especially if they go on to the higher levels, like a master's degree or a PhD, they have to do research. So we have a program that allows students to study under elite university faculty members. So we have professors for us from Harvard, Yale, Princeton, very elite universities. They teach this research course that's, it depends on the topic. The topic can be varied based on whatever the students want. But say it's in robotics, they'll teach a class about doing research on robotics, and the students will do actual research, and then write a paper about their research and eventually publish it in a major academic journal with the help of this elite university faculty member. So this is a very unique program, but we've had several students that have done it already, and they really like it, and it really has helped them to get into very good universities. So students have done this. At the end, after they do it, they end up getting a letter of recommendation as well from the faculty member, which is really helpful. So here's the professors that we've had working for us in the past. They you see Harvard, Yale, NYU, Columbia. It really goes a long way on their application. They get a letter of recommendation from a person from Harvard, Yale, Princeton. They publish a paper in an academic journal, so rare for high school students, and they get research and get college credit for doing it. And this is all done online, by the way, just so that's clear. So these are all things that students can do in order to, really stand out, learn more about the world. The world has changed, right? We've been kind of forced into this world where we're all online all the time. We're communicating like this one-on-one. It happened a lot faster than anybody thought. And there may be problems with it that we'll have to work out, but this will be the future. And if this is the future, us communicating online like this, then it doesn't matter where we're at. I can speak to you here, and I did get knocked off the internet once, but for the most part, I can speak to you here in Columbus, Ohio, just as easily as I could if I was in Riyadh or if I was in Rome. It doesn't matter. So, education is going to be globalized. Students are going to have to adapt to a globalized and changing world. They're going to have to learn intercultural communication skills, teamwork, leadership, maturity. These are all things that can come about as a result of globalizing your education through contact, through experience of other cultures, through changing the curriculum to make it more globalized, and giving students opportunities for higher education. So that's really just what I wanted to talk about today. I hope some of you will look at some of these programs and think about if they would help your students, or if it's something your students might be interested in doing. But I definitely think that in the future, every school should have a sister school. Every student should go abroad. Every student should experience different types of curriculum. So that's what we stand for, and that's what we want to promote. So I will end it there. I'll pass it back over to Jacob, but thank you all so much for listening. If you have any, feel free to contact me anytime. You see my email there. We love working with new schools. So thank you all so much, and take care.
Thanks, Justin. I think we learned a lot of different things that we could really apply into our schools, not just these different services that Ipert offers, but just making sure that all of our students are getting some kind of a global perspective, connecting with people outside their country and outside their school, and just being involved. Dr. Ray is going to give us our closing remarks here in a minute. After he's done with his remarks, I'm going to post in the chat on both Facebook and on the Zoom, the post-workshop survey. And please make sure that you fill that out. Certificates will be sent out on Tuesday or Wednesday through your email. And please make sure you check into your spam folder too, because sometimes however you have your email set up. Sometimes it will get thrown into the spam folder. And we just so glad that we could have these presenters, that we could have Justin and Andy with us today to talk about these different services. And we're excited to be able to partner with them and provide these different services. And after I post the post-workshop survey, we will have some time to answer some questions, because I know that there's some questions popping up in the chat and we've been keeping track of those. So Dr. Ray, it's back to you to give our final words.
Well, great. And wow, I'm sitting here just tremendously impressed with the things that have been presented to us today. This is one of the many services that we, Array Global, are attempting to offer to our schools. This opportunity, just from the comments that I've seen from everyone in the chat already, I think one person said, wow, this is mind-blowing. And it does kind of blow our minds to think about the opportunities that Ipert has for us here. So I want to thank you all for attending, and I want to thank especially Dr. Justin and Dr. Andy for a wonderful presentation today. It reminds me of an old Chinese proverb, which says, if you are planning for a year, you sow rice. If you're planning for a decade, you plant trees. And if you're planning for a lifetime, educate people. And that's really where we are. And since we've heard a lot about their connections with China today, I thought that was appropriate. So we want to thank you all. And remember too, that when you educate one person, you can change a life. But when you educate many people, you can change the world. And we thank Ipert and their representatives today for this wonderful introduction.